Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sunset Stitches. My name is Trevor Conquergood, and this is Floriani Digi-Talk, which is kind of an informal presentation that I do every Wednesday afternoon around 3 p.m. Eastern Time, which is actually around 1 o'clock here in sunny Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, where I live. And so it's wonderful to connect with everybody. And I see Cindy's here today. So good morning, Cindy, from Michigan, Gladwin, Michigan, where it's a gorgeous day. Well, that sounds wonderful. Here it's raining and everybody's happy about it, especially the farmers. Although not, it's one of those things. They're always happy about the rain, but not too much and not at the right time, and blah, blah, blah. But I heard they're about 30% putting the seeds in the ground when they should normally be a little further along. But with all the dry weather and the forest fires and everything, I think that we will take the rain today. Thanks, Cindy. Hi, Darlene. How's it going? It's nice to see you. And Marty dropped in. It's so great to say hi to everyone. So if you're dropping in on us today, then go ahead and say hi. And if you have any questions, I'm going to be digitizing some Winnie the Pooh today. I'm going to show you guys a few of my latest things that I've been working on. But if there's any, specific questions that somebody wanted to look at, maybe there will be some time. And so, all that said, I've got my screen up. Oh, Marty's traveling in Montana. Is it cold in the mountains? I heard that they were getting kind of almost snow in British Columbia. They're just north of you guys. So anyway, hi, Chris. I got everybody's postcards in the mail on Monday. So, and it was a holiday in Canada, so they're on the way now. So great to see you guys. Yeah. Oh, hi, Edna. How you doing? Nice, Denise. Nice to see everybody. So today I'm going to work on Winnie the Pooh. Oh, and Candy too. So great. And I've got my latest designs to show you guys, right? So this is what's in your download. If you're a member of FTCU Workshop number 4, then they'll be available for download. Basically, what I'm saying is Digitalk's a free presentation, but the designs are just for the members of my Workshop 4. If you want to join, you can use the code Trevor99, and that updates the price for you guys. Anyway, I've been working on Winnie the Pooh for since we started Digitalk, every week a little bit. These are the latest cute little Piglet and Winnie. Those are just little stitch outs, you guys, not very big ones. What are they for? I don't know. Whatever you want to do with them, I guess. I'm going to make a quilt out of the whole thing. Eventually, I'm going to make a quilt out of it. But aren't they cute little ones? But I've done some bigger ones too, right? So there's a small collection of smaller ones. If you don't know, the very first Winnie the Pooh book became copyright free. And so I'm allowed to do this without, asking for Walt's permission or anything like that. Or Alfred Milne. No longer, you have to get their permission, or Mr. Shepard, the illustrator. But that said, I've been doing, recreations of these designs, and it's one of my, you guys, I love to digitize. And when I became the software manager for RNK, it's a really wonderful job that really rewarding for me, but I don't get to digitize as much as I want to. And so part of this class is really, this presentation is just gives me a chance to get doing some designs, and for no particular reason, right? It's not a class. I don't have to follow a schedule, and I don't have a specific purpose. So away we go, right? So Winnie the Pooh, but then I mix in other stuff like, what's new with you, Trevor? Nick, bring me big. I want to show them my latest thread sketch, because next week I'm going to Cleveland. And so I did a thread sketch of the Cleveland city skyline. What do you guys think of that? It's stitched on paper, of course. That's one of my favorite things to stitch on. But I mean, I'm going to give the design to everybody that attends the event, and they might put it on the back of their jean jacket, or who knows, maybe they'll even put it on a long arm quilt frame, and make it into something really big, because it's continuous line embroidery. And that's, really, there's no difference in doing this than there is to doing this. It's the same concept. The way I do it is the same. But everywhere I go, I do a thread sketch. It's one of the things that I always like to commemorate my visit. Well, I've been a few places. I was just admiring my thread sketch collection the other day. Las Vegas. I'm not going to show you all of them. You guys would be here the whole hour. Seattle. And I won't remember. And then I'm going to embarrass myself. That's Portland, because I'm not going to. There'll be some I'll be like, oh, I can't remember. Which city is that? And I don't have them written on them anywhere. But just so you know, I love to do embroidery, and a lot of these designs I've never released or sort of like given away, or I always do them. There's the Sioux Falls, you guys, and see, we did, and most of my sketches are one or two colors. That said, there's no limit. You can sketch in like multi color. Guys, I've got like so many beautiful thread sketches. I'll plan to show them better someday, but I want to move on with today. I just wanted to show you guys the latest thread sketch for Cleveland. That's the patch that I made them. We're going to be talking about patches and postcards when I'm in Cleveland. What did I drop there? Oh, and that was... Were you here on Friday when me and Loren and Nick made this shirt, which I'm going to send to my friend Celine Ross that won it? But it's called embossed or raised embroidery, and it was a fun thing. Anyways, if you want to catch it on the replay, you're welcome to. It'll be on our website under the embroidery recipe box. Anyway, you guys, it's nice to see everybody today. Go ahead and bring my, make me smaller now. Yeah, that's perfect, Nick. And then I thought I would start just working a little bit on this. And if you guys have anything you want to talk about, you just let me know. Otherwise, and I remember last time I figured out where I was, like you can slow redraw it if you want to kind of like, here, let me turn on 3D. And so if I click on slow redraw, you'll kind of see it go, oh, he started there at Piglet's house and kind of worked my way down the creek or whatever that is to the floody place. And this is the 100-acre woods. So I did the trees, and Owl's house is over here. And there are some things that I've left. And typically the things that I've left are the things that I was going to have to jump to get, so I'm going to do all the jumps at the end kind of thing. So I'm just doing everything that I think I can connect together. And I got pretty far. Like I've done the bee tree, and I did little Pooh Bear's house. And now I kind of walked down, and I got all the way back down to Piglet's house. And these ones up here, I didn't see any like connecting lines, to get them. So I think what I'm saying is I think I've done all my connected parts, and now it'll be like, okay, I started with the word piglets, but I'm intending to sequence it so that they sew at the same time. But let's do the word house, right? So I'm just going to type 2 on my keyboard because I know that that's my run stitch tool. And there's 2 ways of doing this. You either go straight to the end and then catch everything on the way home, or you go, you catch everything on the way out there, and then you just walk the quick path on the way home. And what I'm talking about is manual pathing. And what I mean by pathing is connecting these letters together, right? So we just walked to the end of the road, right? Let me right click. I wouldn't normally stop here, but I'm just going to right click so you can see it. I walked to the end of the road. And now when I come back to the beginning, I'm going to follow that line back to the beginning again. And when I do, I'm going to catch all of the little parts that we missed. And if you're wondering why I'm not making these like nice and round, well, I know from experience that when I'm looking at something at 766%, that the size of a stitch, and you can only make them so small. Look how small I made them, right? Let's measure, from here to there is 0.05 of an inch. Well, I like to do those ones in metric. They're really small stuff. So I'm just going to right click up here on the ruler, see how you can change it to metric and inches. So now I can measure it in metric and a millimeter, and coincidentally, oh, look, 0.9. I'm trying for a millimeter when I do this, right? So 1.3. Actually, I'm trying for like 1.4, but 1 is kind of the real minimum, okay, to making a good stitch. Have you ever heard that before? Because it's not a rule that you have to follow. The machine can go smaller. It's not that. The machine can make a smaller movement than a millimeter, but what you have to account for is the size of the needle and the size of the hole, and I'm planning on stitching this on paper. And so when that needle goes down into there, it's making a hole. And when it comes out, it's got to move far enough to start a new hole. That's the reality of it. That's why small stitches are a problem. Okay, let's make our way home. So look, I typed the number 2 again to get started, and I'm just going to follow. But then every time I hit a little road that I didn't follow, I go down it and back again. So I go all the way to the top, down it, back. And then, so now I'm just kind of like trying to follow the same kind of clicks that I took to get out to the beginning, except for every time do I get to an area where I've missed a part, I just add that part in. And I'm trying to do everything 2 times. So notice when I go around the O and I've got to the other side, I'm going to keep going around the horn and do it again because I want everything to be 2. So up to the top of the H, down to the bottom of the H, back to the middle, everything's 2, back to the beginning again, to the bottom of the first H and to the top. And that means everything got done in a 2-ply. And so the reason we do 2-plies versus sort of like the single ply that has some 2-plies. So in other words, you could walk from the beginning of the H to the end of the E, doubling up on half of the O, doubling up on part of the U. The thread doesn't look as great when it's kind of got 1 + 2, but it's still possible to do it that way. But doing it in 2-ply kind of ensures that every line kind of has the same relevance and value of their thickness. And it also helps you if you when you do a lot of single ply run stitch, if you get a thread break and you have to back it up, and then there's a small section that's 2-ply, it's kind of noticeable. But if everything's 2-ply and you have a thread break and you have to back up just for like a small section, then it's not so noticeable when there's one bit that's 3-ply and everything else is 2-ply. So that's another reason why 2-ply is the preferred, unless you're quilting, when getting the least number of stitches, I think would be the goal. All right, so here we got to do a little interpreting. This is Piglet right here. Well, I mean, Piglet, judging by the size of my run stitches here, isn't very. I don't know how much we'll be able to get into that, but we could make Piglet slightly bigger, couldn't we? Like within relationship, once I'm done drawing Piglet, if I do a good enough job, I could probably do some kind of, select him and just make that a little bit larger, and that might help a little bit. And I think what would help a little bit better would be if I had have managed to get better images, right? Because I have a feeling that there's details that I am just not seeing, and up until now, I've been able to make them up because it was just a tree or a branch. But now I'm like, I don't know. It's supposed to be Piglet's face, for goodness sakes, and his ears and stuff. So I'm just going to try and go around ahead and almost make the ears like a little bit more pronounced. There, how did I do? Like, I mean, it's not going to look like Piglet, but we're going to all know it's Piglet, right? Like just that. Yeah. See what I'm saying? I mean, sometimes you just got to make it up. Okay, so let's do where the woozle wasn't. And so I'm going to be jumping into this, although, I wonder if there aren't more tracks that I couldn't use to get around. Like maybe there are, some that I could have connected these things, but I don't think it's wrong for this to be kind of like floating there either. So that's the way we're going to, that's the thing when you do embroidery is it's really an interpretation. It's up to me. I'm doing it. It's no longer up to Mr. Shepherd. I'm now taking sort of some artistic license. So if I'm going to jump from Piglet over to here, I think I'll just kind of start like on the edge of it like that and kind of just walk my way down. And like I said, I usually try and walk my way back down lines that I make, so that I try to do every line 2-ply. But that said, there are just times where I'm doing certain things where I don't know if it matters, and I don't I'll do a line, a single ply. If it felt like one line was meant to be thinner than another line, that would be a good reason to do it, right? Because and you'll notice that a lot of these Winnie the Pooh designs, that some of the lines were done 3 or 4 times because they needed to be the most pronounced lines, and that's up to us. We really here. I think this is a grove of trees, and so I'm trying to do what is supposed to be their trunks, standing in a grove like this. And now I'm to the footsteps that go around the outside, and I'm just thinking like, okay, so let's do a little 1, 2, 3, 4, and then take a step over and do a 1, 2, 3, and then take a little step over and do a 1, 2, 3, and I'm just going to make those all one because I just know that. Notice when I pull my cursor from the last stitch that I made to the next one, it shows me how far, like right there. Now I've gone 1.2 millimeters, and if that's my minimum, so I'm okay, I'll come to this one, and then if I pull it, it's like, okay, 1.4. So I'm going to do that 1.4, 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and then come back and do this one, 3 or 4 times and do this one. And then just trying to make that little pattern. I don't know really until we make this whole design bigger. I'm not sure that these are at the size that I'm digitizing right now. They're pretty small, and it's just, to me, as long as it reads like, not a round line that, oh no, there was thicker spots, and I realize I'm connecting it all because instinctually I know that trimming after 4 and 5 stitches and then doing another 4 and 5 stitches doesn't really give you a very good sewing experience. If you've ever done a design that someone digitized like that, where it went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then it was like already doing the tie off, and now you're meant to, it's the machine's meant to trim before it starts up again and do another 10 stitches. Well, it certainly slows the process down, exponentially. And the problem is sometimes they come unthreaded, and now you got to take the time to rethread them. And not to mention on the back of the embroidery, there's like a million little tiny knots. So I go out of my way when I do designs like this to connect it as much as possible, which is like why I'm like, I wonder if there wasn't a footpath that I could have connected this to the, and if there, I might even come back later and be like, I wish I would have done that and add that little bit in. That wouldn't be hard. I know I started here, so I could just go, okay, we'll add a line right from here to there and sequence all this to happen at a different time, and that's the beauty of digitizing, is you can always, until you publish it, which means until you share it with your friends, you can keep working on it. And I've been working on this one for weeks. So I thought I better get working on it, right, Nick? Because I'll never get it done. Okay, so I left my needle off. I've obviously turned off, and let me turn on in my program preferences my favorite show last stitch marker. There, that lets me know kind of where I am sitting right now. And truth be known, if I select everything we made today and make it red, and then I like to digitize in a brighter color than, something contrast, so that when I work, you can kind of see it a little bit. It helps a little bit. So now we'll go ahead and just do the tree. And I don't know, at this point, I haven't really fully got a technique developed for this tree yet, but I feel like it's going to be one of these ones that's just going to be follow the line a little bit and see what it looks like. And here's one of those times where I just don't feel like every line needs to be a 2-ply. And so it's totally fine to walk up like that around the thing and then just come back and start doing something else and not worry about, oh, I didn't do it 2 times, But if you need to walk back down your line for any reason at all, you just go right ahead and do it. And I don't know, sometimes when I get to the end of these and I stitch them out, I'm like, what were you thinking? It doesn't even look like the trees that why didn't you think of what it was and try and figure out what, shape to make your stitches? But you can always kind of right click and zoom out and be like, what is it looking like? And I don't know that, maybe it's more of a, I'm kind of jigging back and forth, like, just throwing in and getting there at 1, 2, 3, and then move over and do a few. And this time I'm just kind of making it more not so flowy. Yeah, like I kind of feel like that's more the technique, right? So, okay, let's just trash all of this and do it again because I don't know until I see it. I don't know. So now I've kind of got an idea more about. So I'm gonna do like this kind of a thing where I'm gonna do the stitches and maybe I'll get a little closer and kind of do them like a triple ply and then walk along a little bit and throw 2 or 3 down there and then walk around and throw. And there's probably some things that as an artist I'm not noticing that would be like, I don't know. I know what I know is that a lot of times after I do a design like this, I'll be all proud and I'll bring it up to my very talented wife, Lorna, and she will help me see things that I just don't see because she sees them like instantly, right? And I can give you an example of that when I'm done this if you want, because in that Cleveland one, I followed the lines and it wasn't that I didn't need to follow the lines. It was that the word Cleveland was getting lost. And she said I needed to do some of the lines darker, than I had. There, I think that, I don't know. Do you like it? Does it read Bush? I don't know. It's not, it's the where the woozle wasn't. So does that look like where the woozle? I mean, sure, good enough, right? So this is what I'm saying. If this could have been all connected in the first place, and you're like, well, there is a little trail. I can kind of see it now. Okay, fine. Let's take it, right? Let's walk down the side of the tree and hit that trail. And I think when I did the trails last time, I was trying to go kind of like I did the footsteps a little bit, right? Just kind of taking a step off to the side and then throwing a couple stitches down and see how I can, let's just take that one stitch backwards. Okay. So all of that, let's just say I started there too, right? So I'll kind of walk right down the middle of all that to get there. And remember where I started that bush in the first place? Do you guys recall? It was over on the right. I remember doing it. So I'm literally there. I walked back there. So at the end of all these lines, there's the top of the bush. There's the bottom of the bush. This number 52 needs to go before the bottom of the bush. So I just go up, up, up. There. So now it goes after Piglet, and if you were like, there's a path. I could have come right off of Piglet, I feel like I want Piglet to be on his own. I want to make sure that Piglet is sort of noticeable, move him away a little bit. And like I was saying, you could make him just a smidge bigger like that. And then there you go. Hi, Loren.
Come say hi.
You can if you want to. Loren has just dropped in on us and thought they'd come and say hi. Can you bring me bigger a little bit, Nick? It's Loren's birthday, everybody. At least it was yesterday. So happy birthday, Loren. It's nice to see you today. I wasn't expecting you, so I was like, hey, Loren's here.
I just wanted to say hi.
Okay, thanks.
Have a fun Winnie the Pooh.
Did you have a nice birthday?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Well, guess what I got? Crochet yarn. This is regular yarn, but I'm going to use it to crochet.
Very nice. All right. Very fun. Okay. Bring me back on screen again, Nick. I'm going to keep doing this pig because I was right in the middle of something, Loren. So I was just right at a point. So what I did was I took that. I said I could add it in here, right? So what I did was I made it start there, do the bush, and then walk back to there. So all of that, I'm just going to select from 49 all the way to 52. And I think what I'll do is I'll just group it together. And what I can even do is cut it like this. Oh, it's gone, but it's on my imaginary clipboard. So I'll just be ready to get it back. So now I have to decide, where does it go? Like, I just added it right there. That line probably isn't broken there, right? If I try and there's that line, it finished up here. Oh, okay, but I wanted it to finish there. So watch this. I'm going to just come right here and use my shape tool and go right to that part of the line. Oh, now this is a double line, so I have to make sure I catch the way. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter where I catch it. It's wherever. So it doesn't really matter. Take that back. I don't think it matters which of these points, but just notice if I get really close that it does do this line what looks like 3 times in that, kind of succession. So one of those 3 times we're going to break by right clicking and saying split line. There. So look, it ends there. And there's another segment that starts. So and see in my sequence view, I can see the one that's selected is 5. Click 6. So that's the next one. So we just give me a sec, Nick. I see you have a question. So between 5 and 6, that's where this all goes, right? Because I made 5. I split 5 into 2, right? Because 5 used to go all the way up to there, but now number 6 goes up to there, and 5 is broken right there. So all that said, what I want to do is paste my group in at the beginning here. And then really what I need to do is sequence it to go between 5 and 6, right? It might be easier to do this. Move it to the beginning. Now those are first. And then we can go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So there's 5, ends right there. Actually, I think it ends there. So I kind of failed on that, but I'll show you how to fix that too. So, and then it goes right into the new one that I just made. So here's how we'll fix it. I'll make the new one that I just made actually start there where I made the other one end. That was easy. And then I'll select the last segment of that where it kind of comes back and make it end there as well. So again, that was easy. So yeah, now you kind of see what I'm saying. There, we just sequenced in a piece, so it's not disconnected from the rest. So now when you watch that sew out, Piglet, or where the woozle wasn't, will happen far before, where we added it. See, it happened before the 100 Acre Woods. Yeah, anyway, and so I will keep going. Before I'm done, I figure I'll probably walk along this line and do Eeyore's Gloomy Place too. So I'll probably, do a little bit of a insertion somewhere, unless I can find a path. Maybe there's a path that comes from here over there. Of course, there's a path to Eeyore's Place, Trevor. So, okay, listen, I want to talk about some. Do you have any? You had a question, so I was just going to take a break. Sorry, Nick.
Are they numbered until you stop? Please explain how the steps are numbered. I think she's talking about here.
Okay, like my sequencing? Yeah, good question, right? So the question, let me just see it. Where is that? Can you put it on? Are they numbered until you stop? Yeah, every time I add another one, it's just another number. So when I punch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and I right click, that's number 1. And if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right click, that's 2. I can left click 10,000 times. As soon as I right click, it ends the line. And you can I'm making one design that looks like it's all, we'll make it'll be one continuous stitch, but I'm breaking along the way. And so my kind of little demo there was that I could insert, within my lines to get the connections the way I wanted to. And so it's that's the sequence, the sewing sequence. Think of it like a film strip, right? The first one goes first and the last one goes last. And you can rearrange them. So if you need to change the way they sew, you can. Good question. Thank you so much. Who was that, Donna? Cindy? Thanks, Cindy. Interesting. So, okay. I got another Winnie the Pooh design to work on, but I wanted to show you guys something a little bit different today. How's my time? Okay, good. We're having a challenge with FTCU workshop number 4. And so did everybody see Friday when we did the embossed Jesus, right? Because I thought that went pretty swift, pretty well. is what I guess what I'm trying to say. Like we brought in a backdrop. This is literally just what am I trying to say? A picture, like a JPEG, a bunch of pixels. If I get close enough to it, you'll see them. There's all different colors of gray in there, and black. And we vectorized it, right? I used the magic wand to like clink, and then it outlines it. It's a nice clean clip art. It does a pretty darn good job of making lines. The truth is, in reality, I know that I digitize this because I don't auto digitize. So I know in my heart that my lines are drawn by me because but that said, I will use the software to do a lot of automation. And so it's not wrong to use the magic wand. It's just not a lot of clicks to make it in the first place either. And you just find that when you make it yourself, there's a little bit more predictableness to it. Maybe, a few less times things kind of get weird. And so I just like to make my own lines. That's all I'm saying. All that said, we did this design like live. I punched it and stitched it all live for everybody on Friday. And I thought today, because we did it in a technique on Friday for embossing, but I thought today it would be fun to do it in a technique for satin stitch. And if so what I'm saying is I'm going to select the first color, copy it, and make a new design. Why the first color? Well, let me go back. Where was that? The second color was the one that I made that was for the it's offset. I know that the green was the original shape and that the blue was when I made it a little bit larger to kind of account for the embossing. And so I copied I needed to choose one color. I just chose the original. That's all I'm saying. I don't know that it was wrong. I could have chosen either color, but what I have is artwork, right? If you look at it, it's they're actually run stitches. So it's not artwork. It's actually embroidery. But what I'm going to do is I want to make it into satin stitching, right? Like what if the J was all filled in and these were, like you would embroider it, not sort of just an embossing. So to do all that, I think first thing I'll do is take all whatever I made in the past and just click on the artwork tool. The artwork tool basically takes all the thread out of it. It's kind of like an eraser. If you look now, it's like, oh yeah, it's just the lines and there's no, I could click fill and it would fill them all in. But what happened, Trevor? Your fish is all filled in. Well, it's because they're not combined, right? Really what I have is 8 shapes, right? There's the fish shape. That's that one. And I got this piece over here and that piece over there. These are the artwork shapes, right? Those were the lines that we needed to run stitch, but we're now trying to fill in between the lines. It's a completely different process. And so I'm going to undo to put everything back to where it was. So I guess the point here is you need to combine them. I need to select all those lines and use my paper clip, and that'll put them all back together. Now, if I click fill, you'll see that it will understand that, oh, this is an outline and this is a hole or a voided area inside of that outline. So is this and this and this, this and this. So the white spaces are now the voids and the green spaces are now the solids. And so we needed to use the combine tool to kind of explain to the program, how it sews. And now if I click on, I could click on auto satin and see what it does. I doubt that I'll be happy, but we'll let her take a swing at it, Okay, interesting. Some people might say good enough. I can't. The E's missing a part, for goodness sakes. I mean, that's not acceptable. The stitch angles are just weird. And once again, we can all rejoice in the fact that we're still smarter than the computer. You know, that's the reality of it, is if you just learn how this stupid program works, you can take control of the stitches. And I don't mean to call it a stupid program, but that's kind of how people feel, right? When they're like, why is this part missing and what went wrong? Well, what went wrong was your automation isn't really able to fully see what we saw, what I see. You know, if you don't see it, I see it, and I know what I want, and that's not it. So I'm going to just use the old magic undo, right? Because you can undo till your heart's content, and I'm undo right back to there, you know. Okay, now, how do you get there then, Trevor, if you can't just click on the automatic satin? The answer is you're going to need to make the satin yourself. It's still a satin. We're still going to use one of these satin tools, but I'm going to use this one instead. So when I click on the satin tool, I can, first of all, tell it what direction the stitches go and where. And this is really the trick of this whole thing, is doing this, you know, getting it right and understanding how it works. Because if you understand how it works, then you can get it right and you can take the time to do it. You know, it's not a long time. It just, there's a few, you know, thoughts involved, because basically I have to tell the software where the stitches go at every place. So the outline is pretty straightforward, and I'm just kind of making sure that there's like you know, every time we have a chance to tell it where it touches that outline, because here, you know, the outline is imaginary, but I want to say that I see the thread going, the E and the border being like separated. I see a line along here, like that is what I see. So first of all, I need to tell it that the direction of the thread can be here, it can be here, it can be here, you know, here, it can be here. I can turn it a little bit. So the trick of it is, if I don't define an area with one of these lines, and I'll purposely leave a spot out, I won't do this stroke of the U. So I'll put one over here, and I'll do, you know, some on the S, and I'll do one over here. I'll do one over here. And I think I've got everywhere now. If I move out, yeah, I've got both sides of the tail. So that's all of the yellow stitch directions. We've told it what direction. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, and I'm going to right click a second time, but I go right over top of the outline to get an extra menu that says, now I can add my split lines. And this is where I get to come in and say, I was thinking you would go like that, and kind of make the fish outline be the priority, kind of like Jesus was inside of the fish. I don't know. Maybe I got that wrong. And really what you need is a divide line that goes, you know, with the U on top of the fish, in which case then that's what you would make. But I have to tell it here every time it needs to divide. And so I'm just going around the whole outline of the fish and kind of showing the program where I want the divides to go. Because you saw it make divides before. They were just weird and not well thought out. But the program does not know that this is a fish that says Jesus. I need one here, by the way. This is any time where you have a different direction of stitching, where you want it to go this way but that way, you need a divide so that you can have a different angle on either side. So now that I've drawn in all my split lines, I don't think there's any that I've missed. I'm going to right click twice, and it's going to make the stitches. Now, I didn't remember this one and that one. And so it's not working right now. Until you get it right, it's not going to work. And what I'm missing is right here. I realized just looking at it, you forgot to add that one. So we can do it now. You right click and say add split line, and then click and drag to make, and it kind of snaps on, like once I click and then drag, and that was a choice, right? Because I could have made them go this way, but it's one or the other. You know, you gotta, which is over, which is under, is kind of what you're telling it right now. But look at that. That fixed everything. But not quite. Why is there some problem areas here? Well, if you don't put enough, so let me try adding some more inclinations. If you don't put enough, it sometimes is confused. It needs to be able to see from one inclination to the next. And so I bet if I just add in those ones, my S will start to fix up. Look at that. And now here, remember, that one's clear why it didn't work, because we did it on purpose, right? I purposely didn't put any inclinations in there. Yeah, and so by adding a few more inclinations, I can kind of like get the stitching to turn around the bottom of the U like that. See how I did that? By putting that one in and that one in. So the S is already good. The U is already good. Although there is a funny stitch coming around the S there. We'll see if that doesn't go away before we're done here. But I think I need a few more in the J, because it might just be that that's the problem. So I need like one there and maybe one there, maybe one more here or whatever. But right click. Bingo. Oh, so still the S. So, all right, let's try adding a couple more and just see if that doesn't help this one out as well. I think that'll do it. There you go. So, okay, now we've got a big Jesus that's done in a satin stitch. It's got a split to it, and that's due to the size, right? If you were going to embroider this smaller, that split would go away, because right now I've got it, it's like 12, almost 14 inches, right? So kind of weird to do it in a satin. If you were going to do it 14 inches, you probably would have said a pattern fill. I think that would be a more logical style of stitching to make that look nice. But if I was going to make it small, like just wee little for the front of the shirt kind of thing, right? Kids are going, you got to make bucket hats because the kids are going to church or whatever. And so you get your little Jesus there. And now you go with a satin, because it's just a little, what am I, 2 inches now. I've made it. I went the opposite. I went extreme small size, but now it's just a little 2-inch one. But if I did it at around, that's like there 3 inches tall or wide. Sorry, that's a full 3 inches wide. See, looks nice everywhere, right? You got kind of one more thing. I don't like the E's. I'm like, what's going on with that? I bet I can fix that. Get your shape tool, and because I think what I need here is at least one more inclination. Maybe would take it onto an angle like that, and then it should finish out on the angle. The problem here is you can't draw an inclination onto the orange lines. And I wish you could. That is on our wish list. As I wish you could. But it has to be from pink to pink. So the best I could do here would be to add an inclination in. I can say stay on the 0, but then turn to the angle like that, so that you kind of finish off the rest of that shape like that. If I really wanted it to turn, I could come in here and right click and add another one and kind of make it go like that. So that will make it turn all the way to the other side. Oh, it didn't. Is it too much? Let's see here. Yeah, it's trying. Let me see. Yeah, it's just. So once again, it would be nice if we could draw along that orange line, but it has to be from pink to pink. There, I think I got it to do. No, it shouldn't. It's not coming to this angle. Anyhow, you can fight with it until you get it. If I made it bigger, I think it would probably behave. It's just the size of it. It's making stitches. Yeah, see, it doesn't want to turn. Interesting. Oh, no, I didn't mean to do that. Here, undo. So in that case, and I didn't mean to do that. I'm grabbing the wrong thing. When you kind of go to grab, you got to watch what your cursor looks like, because if you don't get in just the right spot, you'll end up sort of changing the look of it. Yeah. Well, and if I just delete it, I think we're better. Yeah, like that. So yeah, anyhow, cool. So, okay, now I'm ready for a left shirt, or something like that. But what I thought would be fun, because in FTC Workshop 4, we're doing a spiral challenge, right, Nick? The spiral challenge is where we do spiral style embroidery. And so let me just, where's my, ellipse tool, and how I can make a shape like this, or any shape, and I can fill it in as, as a spiral satin. And you need to have at least one inclination, but you can have more than one. And what'll happen is it will make the stitching kind of match the lines that you make. So if I right click, I get this cool spiral effect. Now, if I move my entry point, and if I right click and maybe add in another inclination closer to the beginning, no, that didn't help. If I play with the spiral density, I can get it. Yeah, see, I think I was just trying to get the top of it to look kind of more rounded like that. Still, there's kind of a funny stitch there. A lot of times it's fiddly, and just moving the exit point to the right spot will correct it, and get it. So, or the inclinations, and sometimes it's just a matter of saying, okay, well, maybe don't there, just keep working with your inclinations until they look the way you want. But so this is a new style of embroidery that we're promoting at FTC Workshop this month. And there's a challenge for everybody to make a spiral style embroidery design, right? So I don't know, can I rotate this 90 degrees and call it a squeeze box? I don't know about that, but what I was going to try to do is do a spiral Jesus. So now that I've already made it into a satin stitch and I've already done the work to convert it, that's all done. Right now, I could come down here and I could click on spiral satin, and it would try and spiral them in. Now, it's going to have a real hard time doing that spiral stitch in this little 3-inch Jesus. But if we make it bigger again, I think you'll see that it could be really cool on the front of a t-shirt. We could have a very so see what I'm saying? I guess that's cool, Trevor. No, it's way too small for spiral embroidery. There's no room to do it. So if we take our size and we go from a width of 2.8 inches and we make it even 6 inches would be nice, so apply. I think 6 inches, 8 inches would be even better, but let's just maybe even 4 inches, but the bigger you make it, the more room there will be for your spiral stitching. And so it's starting to turn out nicer. Only I think I need to, to take a look at a few things, right? It's not kind of perfectamundo. So, okay, let's try it a little bigger just to see but I know that I need to adjust some of my density. So the bigger I get it, the kind of cleaner it looks, and you can kind of see that right away. But even if I go back to the 6, so there's that, that's the 6, right? That's 6. At 6, if I change the spiral density from 5 to 2 and click apply, it'll look a lot nicer. Oh, so it's just about, again, size, right? And the big open space. When you have a 5 millimeter space between the spirals and you have a small space to fill, you don't get many spirals, and therefore it's hard to make them look spirally. But if you make the density smaller, they suddenly start to look nice again. So there's the spot, and like I said, if we go up to a pretty big size, because this is kind of a lot of small columns there at 8 inches. Look how kind of nice it looks. Now, if there were any parts that we were like, oh, I don't like something, and I'm just trying to say, maybe it's the end of the S here or something like that. Well, there's a couple ways you can deal with that. And one is go back into your shape tool, and then maybe adding an extra inclination could, for example, if I tell it to come to that angle, then it changes the way the spiraling happens. I'm not saying it made it better or worse. I'm just saying this is how you can adjust and affect the look of everything. And so just by playing with a few nodes or a few stitch directions, you might just make it perfect. And if you move the wrong thing, just let go and hit undo. And pay attention next time what you're turning. So that's spiral embroidery. And that's another example for everybody that is a member of Workshop 4 And a reminder, you still have a couple of weeks because the challenge class is not until, I think it's June 11th is when we're doing that one. Yeah, what do you guys think of Spiral Embroidery Jesus? How's my time? Around 10 minutes left. So I usually go around an hour, on Wednesdays with Digi-Talk. And looks awesome. Probably Sharon says probably on the E as well. I agree. I can see it. I'll finish it. I'll do a Spiral Jesus and include it in next week's. You know how it works. Everything that I digitize this week, you guys will get next week. And so I'll do up a nice Spiral Jesus for you guys, and I'll make a nice satin stitch Jesus fish for you guys as well. I was working on a new Winnie. This was the one that I picked out. I didn't even get started on. So why don't we do a couple minutes of Winnie here? And I don't know if I'll have the 100 Acre Woods done before next week. But probably by the time I get back to number 8, I'm thinking Digi-Talk 8. No, yeah, because next week is 7. And it's going to be a little bit of a special one, a little bit different. But number 8, I think I'll probably have this done by then. But I'll have this one done for you guys for next week here. So yeah, when I do a design like this, the first thing I do is select my backdrop. The artwork that I brought in. It's currently here. We'll go to inches on this. It's like almost 8 inches tall. And most of these smaller ones I've been doing, around 3 inches tall or 2 in some cases. So there, I made it 3 inches tall. And sometimes I just like to pick it up from the center and like center it on my rulers so I can see where the 0 and the 0 is on my rulers. That way when I don't know why I do that. To be honest, it's just so old habits, kind of thing, center everything in your workspace. And I don't know that it really matters at all. But when I select that backdrop, that little X in the middle shows me the center of it all. And I usually try and start my thread sketches in the center. And then I usually work my way kind of like towards the left and then down to the bottom and around to the right and then up to the top and back over to left and back to the middle again. And there's no rule to that. That's just you got to start somewhere, right? So if you got a plan for it, then you never sit around deciding where to start. You just kind of look and go, okay, well, that's where the needle's sitting on the machine. So I think I'll just move over to like there, and start there or something. I try not to start on a line where it's like, sometimes the first couple stitches don't sew perfectly, might not even catch or something. So I try to bury that a little bit somewhere where it'll get sewn over a couple of times. So it wouldn't be wrong to like start a little line down here or something either. But I think fine would be just right there. That's what I'm going to do. So I hit number 2 on my keyboard to start digitizing. And then I just start walking down. Now I start doing Winnie the Pooh, or I could start doing the chair. Kind of up to you, but I feel like if I'm going to do what I said, which was do the bottom, cross the bottom, up to the right, and then back to the middle, I'll save Pooh for the last. So I'm going to do the chair is what I'm saying. No right or wrong here, guys, just my thinking out loud. So I'll just kind of go ahead and click my way around this guy a little bit. I kind of see some shading in here. I don't know if that's too small. What can help me with size right now is when I look up to the top and I can see that I'm 468% zoomed in. And another thing that helps me with size is when I pull my cursor to draw my next stitch, it tells me how long it is. So for example, this one's kind of curved like this, and I could go and pull that's 2.5. Okay, that's good. And then pull it here. That's 2.5. Oh, so that works out perfect, right? I can make that look a little bit curved by just going, if you thought that you needed to hold a key down and round your line to do all that, that would be kind of extra that you just don't need to worry about. Like clicking once is fine. So here, let me right click and stop, and I'll change it to red because that's just kind of a preference. Red or yellow are good colors when you're dealing on dark or like black over white kind of backgrounds like this. Yeah. So there you kind of get started, and then so now you got your first lines down. Like I said, I thought, okay, leave Winnie, do the chair, so meaning I'll finish with Winnie. Again, not a rule, but so if that's the case, then I guess I will kind of go around here, and then maybe okay, so I'm going to take a I call these branch lines, right? When you're walking, the trick of this is to remember how you got to where you are. Because if I get too far down the road, you're meant to walk back to the beginning at some point, right? If you're going to do, and that's where a lot of my thread sketches, I don't do it that way. In other words, see, I've done this line here once only, and I don't think that's enough times. And if I go all the way around the chair, I may never come back to that line again. So before I move on, why don't I just do it another ply? So now I've done that line twice. Now what are you going to do? Because you kind of painted yourself in a corner. Well, no, I could walk right down that line and do it 3 times. But I figure if I'm going to do any line 3 times, it's probably Winnie, because you can see it. It's a thicker line in the artwork. So I'll do Winnie at least 3 times around. So that way I was able to do this one twice and that one twice, and they kind of look, even weight because they're each side of an arm. And now I kind of go around. So here is the chair, and there's the first is like the top of the chair. So I walk along it. Now remember, I'm using a single run right now to do that. And I get to there. So if I walk back, it's a 2-ply. If I don't walk back, then when I do the rest of the chair, I'll have an area where I missed, like, because suddenly I would be over here, So see, by walking back to the beginning, everything just gets done even like that. So it's easy to do. I am going to go along the chair to get to there, and I'm going to take off from there to rest of the design. So I want to finish all of the design from within this line here. So I'll walk over, and every time I hit a branch, I call them branches, I take it. I walk down the branch. And if I get to another branch, I take that. And I'm realizing I probably should connect that because I don't really want to jump to it. So I'll get it on the way home. So I try. So once again comes the question, because earlier when we did the piglet, we did it the opposite. We did, let's get to the end of the road and get all the branches on the way home. Well, this time I'm doing it where I'm walking down the road and I'm trying to catch as many of the branches on the way. And it's, once again, there's no right and there's no wrong. But by taking the branches out along the way, then I can kind of see where I've done and what I haven't done at any time if I right click like that. So it kind of does. Did you have a question, Nick?
What kind of stabilizer do you recommend for the spiral satin?
What kind of stabilizer do I recommend for that spiral satin design? Well, I mean, that's a good question. The truth is, I don't typically choose a stabilizer per the style of embroidery. I have 2 main things that I consider when I do a stabilizer. And the first one is, what are you sewing it on? So it's, what are you sewing on? And then the second one is, what are you sewing on it? So there becomes the spiral, right? The answer is the spiral is going on. So the first question, you need to tell me, what are you sewing it on? So whoever asked, what we really want to know is, what are you sewing it on, right? So if you say, I'm going to sew it on a t-shirt, just like you said. So, okay, now I understand. The recipe is for a t-shirt with spiral Jesus on it. And so I'm just going to stop right there. So, because before I can do that, I need to go back to my spiral Jesus. And I need to look at, okay, so it's an 8-inch area and it's got 5,000 stitches. So if, it's 8 inches wide and it's 2.5 inches tall. So if you remember my formula, we did a video one time back about average density. The bottom line is, this one's very light. If you're like, what are you talking about, Trevor? Come to my website, Sunset. Don't look at that. That'll make your head burn. SunsetStitches.com. And, Digi-Talk is today, right? If you're like, how do you get those designs anyway, Trevor, those Digi-Talk designs? You come to the website. This is last week, right? That's the week before when we did layered applique. If you go to last week, this will be the one for today. The page isn't quite finished yet. But if you come to this page here for last week, there's the video from last week. These were the designs that you got to download from last week. This is how you can download them. Now, it says you need to be a member of either Workshop 4 or Trevor and Friends Embroidery Club Season 2. And you click right there and it tells you, Trevor, you're not logged in. And so I'll just quickly go ahead and log in, see if I can answer the skill testing question. And then when I have to log in again. Don't ask me why, but now I'm logged in. Excuse me. And if I go to the Digi-Talk pages and I try to go back to that download page, this is what it looks like. That's how you download this week's. They're there already, and there's last week's, and the week before, and the week before, and the week before. And when you get them, they're in a zip file, and I've made all the formats. That said, if you go in here in your library, you can install them into your library. See, I have them all set up there. If you go to number 6, those are the ones that you got today with the cute little piglet one. If you go into number 5, you'll see what's in number 5. Oh, the Wren's Pansies were in number 5. So all that said, you guys, that's where you get them. And then if you want to know, sorry, that's not what I wanted. My website was what I wanted. Up at the top so that was Digi-Talk, the main menu. But embroidery recipe box, this is where you can find out about the raised look, the Jesus one that we did last Friday. But if you scroll back, there's a whole thing in here about density right here. Yeah, design density, stitches per inch. That's how honestly, if you want to know how to choose stabilizer, you have to combine how much embroidery are you putting on. So if it was a t-shirt, now I can say, oh, Jesus spiral is super light embroidery. If you do the math and you find out that the Jesus is 8 inches wide by 2.5 tall, that means 8 times 2.5. Well, 8 times 2, 16. Another half is 4. So I guess that makes 20, right? 20 square inches. And it's only, it was 5,000 stitches. So you take your 5,000 stitches and you divide by 20,000. And you find out that it's going to be around 250 stitches per inch kind of thing. So very light. So if you're putting it on a t-shirt, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. My recommendation is probably a sticky stabilizer. Oh, excuse me. A sticky stabilizer, but that's not a rule. You could do no show mesh. Whatever your formula is when you put light embroidery on a t-shirt will work. I would say perfect stick tearaway would probably be my choice on that. If you were going to do that Jesus, spiral Jesus on the front of a t-shirt, because then me, I wouldn't hoop this t-shirt. I would just hoop up my sticky stabilizer and stick that shirt onto it and embroider it. I wonder what it would look like if you took the 2 techniques and combined them, right? You do the embossing of the fish and then you spiral on top. Hey, there's one to try. Why not? If you're a member of Workshop 4, then hopefully that gives you a little bit more inspiration for making something for our challenge next month. In the meantime, I guess it's kind of around the top of the hour and I'm just looking in to see who's all here and how's everybody doing. And it's nice to see all you guys today. Thanks for stopping by. And so if you have any last minute comments or questions, just kind of type them in there because otherwise I'll let you guys go. News for next week. So I am traveling next week and I will be live on Wednesday. Same as always, but Friday for Free Font Friday, I haven't decided yet what we're going to do. And I have a couple of options. So one of them is a pre-record and on the other one is to just let the kids loose and let them do it. So we'll see how that, I don't know. Actually, I don't think that'll work because Loren is booked to go to away. So I think that leaves Nick on his own. I don't know. So I think next Friday might have to be a pre-record. Maybe, who knows? Maybe we'll do it live over the lunch hour. We'll do it at maybe I'll talk to the dealer and find out, like, on our Friday lunch break, could I do a short Friday live? And we'll do Free Font Friday live from the big event with all the people. We're going to be having a lot of fun. Thank you, Sharon, for saying that you love the Pooh Bear designs. I enjoy doing them. And eventually, I am going to design a quilt, a Pooh Bear quilt of some description. But the members of my workshops and my embroidery club can get them now and imagine them on their own, what you want to do with them. But until then, you guys, I will let you go for today. Hopefully we'll see you again on Friday. Bye for now.